today's episode of Shifting Boundaries News. Today we are going to talk about the difference between flirting and sexual harassment, otherwise known as hurting. Before we begin, we realize this subject may be new to you. We are creating a safe space for you to be supported as we share information about sexual harassment and its preventions. We encourage you to express your thoughts and feelings, and we are not here to attack or blame anyone.
Many of us may never be targets or the person who causes sexual harassment, but we may see it happening. It is important to know how and when to say, "Stop, that's not funny," or ask ourselves, what would you do if this were happening to somebody you knew? We are learning about sexual harassment so that we'll all have the courage to actively respond when we see it happening.
We know that this subject can be confusing, though not everyone will agree, but it is important that we start the conversation.
Being surrounded by other kids at school, you may see how behaviors differ depending on where they are and if there are adults around.
In this episode, we are going to try to make sense between what is harassment and what is flirting.
First, we will focus on verbal or written exchanges, such as comments, notes, texts, emails, etc. Then we will focus on gestures or body movements, like winking, waving, and other ways we communicate without speaking or touching. Lastly, we'll consider physical interactions like poking, hugging, and grabbing.
For each category, there will be examples of flirting and examples that cross the line into sexual harassment. As a reminder, we do not expect everyone to agree, but it is important that we start talking.
First, we must define flirting and sexual harassment. Flirting is used to show interest in someone through welcomed and appropriate remarks and gestures.
Sexual harassment is unwanted and inappropriate sexual remarks that include written, verbal, and gestures or physical advances.
There is a fine line between flirting and sexual harassment. We must be careful when flirting with others so that we do not cross over that line and make the person of interest feel uncomfortable around us.
Breaking news, we interrupt this broadcast with a new game show that's taking over the world. Let's go inside and see.
Hello and welcome to today's broadcast of Flirting or Hurting. Today I have with me Tommy and Haley, our two contestants. I will explain the rules really quickly. So, I will spin the wheel and ask a question. Is it flirting or is it hurting? These two will have the chance to push their buzzer, and whoever pushes it first gets the opportunity to answer the question. They must give a brief explanation to why they think that that is the correct response. If they get it wrong, their opponent gets to also buzz in and say their response. Now, that's pretty much it. Let's get right into the game.
Yeah, woohoo! Let's do it!
All right, first question. We are in the category of a written or verbal. Orange. Someone comes up to you and politely tells you that you look nice today, or that they like your clothes. Is that flirting or hurting?
That is flirting. They are not saying sexual remarks, and their tone is kind and genuine.
That is correct, Tommy. Great job. Great first point. Let's move on to the next question. Question 2. Red. Someone is texting you a bunch of times asking for pictures of your body, and you have told them before they are making you uncomfortable. Is that flirting or hurting?
That is flirting because they just want to see what you look like. It's not really anything serious.
I'm sorry, Haley, but that is incorrect. Tommy, any ideas?
That seems like hurting to me. The person that is receiving the messages has asked the other person that is sending them multiple times to stop, but they continue sending them. That is sexual harassment.
That is correct, Tommy. When someone asks you to stop something or something is making them uncomfortable, you need to make sure to listen. Let's move on to the next question. Orange. A person at school is calling you sexual names in a public place, and you feel very embarrassed. Flirting or hurting?
Okay, I know this. This is hurting because you're saying hurtful or embarrassing things in front of other people.
That is correct, Haley. Nice point. Let's go on to our next category, which is gestures. Let's see what our next question will be. Orange once again. A stranger that is quite a bit older than you walks by, winking and whistling at you. They make you feel quite uncomfortable. Flirting or hurting?
This is hurting because they're way older, they're a stranger, and they're making you feel unsafe.
That is correct, although we should remember that sexual harassment can come from anywhere or anyone. It doesn't just happen with strangers. Let's move on to the next question. Red. How about if a friend smiles kindly at you and gives you a good old wink? Flirting or hurting?
That is hurting because they are winking, and winking is sexual harassment.
Well, not always. In some contexts it is, but winking does not always equate to sexual harassment. It all depends on their tone and how they're looking at you. Are they being offensive, or are they looking as though they're genuine? Haley, any thoughts?
Well, in this case, the person winking is a friend, and they're not trying to be inappropriate. They're just smiling kindly.
That is correct, Haley. Great job. Let's move on to the next question. White. That's a new one. The person you like walks by you and waves and then blows you a kiss and you blush happily. Flirting or hurting?
That is flirting because you are happy when they make their gesture and you do not feel uncomfortable.
Great job, Tommy. That is the correct answer. We are now moving on into our last category, which is physical. Let's see what our next question will be. Oh, white again. What if someone you liked asked to hug you or hold your hand? Flirting or hurting?
I think that's flirting because they're asking consent to make sure they're comfortable hugging or holding hands.
Great job, Haley. You just took the lead. Now, we're going into our last question, and as I said before, Haley has the lead, but Tommy does have the opportunity to tie this up. Let's see how this ends. And on to our last question. Blue. Let's see. Your significant other comes up behind you while you are with a group of friends, grabs you and kisses you, even though you have told them on many occasions that public displays of affection, or PDA, makes you feel really uncomfortable, and you have asked them in the past to stop. Flirting or hurting?
I'm going to go with hurting because even though they're your significant other, you still need to respect their personal boundaries.
Tommy, that is correct! Congratulations! Both of you are winners and know the difference between flirting and hurting. Come back next time on Flirting and Hurting.
Wow, that was a great show. I hope the audience at home was able to learn a few new things, and I'm so glad we were able to be here to see it. Now back to Maya and Alex at the studio.
Well, that was quite the show, wasn't it, Maya?
Yes, it was, and it was quite relevant to what we were talking about today.
So true. Well, viewers, we're actually running out of time for today, so we will see you next time on SB News. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you will be able to take away something from the game show that creates distinctions between flirting and sexual harassment.
Today, we have started the conversation. Now it is up to you to continue talking to ensure safety for all of us. We want to ask our viewers to take a moment to think about who your trusted adult would be. It could be a family member, a teacher, other faculty member, or maybe somebody else entirely. It is important to think of at least one person you could depend on.